The strange part about investing $300 a month is this. At first, it feels too small to matter emotionally, until one day, you realize time was building something quietly the entire time. Let me tell you about Ethan, a man who thought investing $300 a month was too small to matter, until time quietly proved him wrong. Because the strange thing about wealth is this. In the beginning, it looks invisible, and most people stop before the growth finally becomes real. Ethan started investing at 27, nothing dramatic, just $300 every month into index funds, quietly, automatically. At first, the numbers felt almost insulting. After an entire year, he had invested $3,600. The account barely passed $3,900. The growth looked tiny, slow, emotionally disappointing, especially compared to how long it took to earn the money. And this is where most people quit. Not because investing fails, because progress feels invisible too early. Ethan kept checking the account anyway, waiting to feel different, waiting to feel smarter, waiting to feel wealthier, but nothing changed immediately. He still went to work, still paid bills, still lived in the same apartment. The dangerous part was psychological. The effort felt real. The reward did not. By year 2, he had invested around $7,200 total. The portfolio slowly crossed $8,000. Still nothing life-changing, still nothing impressive socially. Nobody looked at Ethan differently. The drifter energy inside him hated that feeling. No validation, no status, no proof that patience was working. Some months, he wanted to stop completely. $300 felt more useful in the present. A trip, new clothes, temporary comfort. But Ethan noticed something quietly changing. For the first time in years, he was building something instead of consuming constantly. That shift was small at first, almost invisible emotionally, but it slowly changed how he viewed money. Money stopped feeling like escape. It started feeling like future ownership. Year 3 arrived quietly, total invested, nearly $11,000. Portfolio value, around $13,000. The growth still looked slow. But something important happened psychologically. The account itself started contributing more, not much, just enough for Ethan to notice. And that tiny realization changed everything. Because for the first time, time started working with him instead of against him. The architect energy became stronger after that. Less emotional spending, less comparison, less need to impress strangers. Ethan stopped chasing the appearance of wealth, because he finally understood something uncomfortable. Most people spend money trying to feel secure temporarily, but real security grows quietly, slowly, almost invisibly. By year 5, Ethan had invested around $18,000 total. The portfolio approached nearly $26,000. The strange part was this. The growth now felt noticeably faster than the beginning years, yet his monthly contribution never changed. Still $300, still automatic, still boring. That's what people misunderstand about compounding. The beginning feels emotionally unrewarding. The later years feel emotionally unbelievable. Ethan noticed his stress levels changing too. Not because he became rich, because he stopped feeling financially directionless, and slowly, his decisions changed with him. Long-term thinking entered everyday life. He became calmer with money, more patient, less reactive. The outside world barely noticed the transformation, but internally, everything was changing. By year 7, the account crossed nearly $43,000. Ethan had personally invested only around $25,000. For the first time, the growth itself felt visible. That moment stayed with him for weeks because the portfolio had started growing faster than his own contributions emotionally felt. And this is where patience becomes addictive. When delayed gratification finally becomes tangible. Most people never reach this stage. Not because investing is difficult, because waiting is difficult. The early years test emotional control more than intelligence. Year 10 arrived faster than Ethan expected. Total invested, around $36,000. Portfolio value, nearly $58,000. The account now grew thousands of dollars some years without additional effort. That realization felt surreal. Ethan started understanding why wealthy people protect time so aggressively. Because time quietly multiplies disciplined behavior. And the terrifying part was this: he almost never started at all. Some nights Ethan calculated what would have happened if he waited another decade. The lost growth disturbed him deeply, because compounding punishes hesitation silently. The years never return, but the real transformation wasn't only financial, it was psychological. Ethan no longer needed visible rewards constantly. His emotional relationship with money had matured. The architect energy now felt natural. Patience stopped feeling painful. It started feeling powerful. By year 15, the portfolio crossed nearly $108,000. Ethan sat alone staring at the number one night, not celebrating, just reflecting quietly, because the account represented more than money now. It represented years of emotional restraint. And slowly, Ethan realized the wealth was never built in the account first. It was built in his behavior. By year 16, the growth started feeling strangely uneven. Some months the account moved more than Ethan's actual contribution. That realization felt almost unnatural at first. Back in the beginning, $300 felt painfully small. Now the portfolio sometimes moved $300 in a single day. Ethan thought about that often, how people underestimate small actions because they only judge the early stage. The invisible years had finally started revealing themselves. And this is where the emotional shift becomes permanent, because patience stops feeling theoretical. It becomes visible reality. Ethan noticed something else changing too. His entire relationship with time became calmer. He no longer chased fast money emotionally, no longer needed constant financial excitement, no longer panicked about short-term movement. The architect energy had quietly taken control, not through motivation, through repetition. Investing every month became part of his identity, like brushing his teeth. Simple, automatic, non-negotiable. By year 17, the portfolio crossed nearly $126,000. Ethan had personally invested around $61,000 total. The rest came from growth itself. That number affected him psychologically, because for years, the progress had looked invisible. Now, the account itself was working harder than it did in the beginning. Most people never experience this phase because emotionally, humans crave immediate evidence too early. They stop during the silent years, before compounding finally accelerates. Ethan understood that now. Wealth building wasn't about intensity. It was about surviving boredom. The process still looked ordinary from the outside. He still drove a normal car, still lived below his means, still avoided unnecessary upgrades. But internally, he felt completely different from the man at 27. Back then, money controlled his emotions. Now, emotional control guided his money. That reversal changed everything quietly. Year 18 arrived. Portfolio value nearly $145,000. Ethan noticed younger coworkers repeating the same emotional patterns he once had. Constant spending, constant comparison, constant impatience. And he understood something painful. Most people are not destroyed by low income. They are destroyed by emotional reactions, fear, ego, validation, impulse. Those behaviors silently delay freedom for decades. By year 19, the portfolio approached nearly $161,000. The strange part was this: the later years grew faster than the entire beginning combined. Ethan remembered how emotionally disappointing the first few years felt, how close he came to stopping. And this is why patience feels unnatural. Humans struggle to continue when progress is invisible, but invisible progress is usually how meaningful change begins. Ethan no longer viewed investing as a money strategy alone. It was a behavioral strategy now, a system designed to protect him from his own impulses, because the real enemy was never lack of information. It was emotional inconsistency. Year 20 arrived quietly, almost without warning. Ethan was 47 years old now, Older, calmer, more emotionally grounded, total personally invested, around $72,000. Portfolio value, nearly $178,000. Ethan stared at the screen silently that night, not because the number made him feel rich, because the years suddenly felt real. 20 years earlier, he almost convinced himself that $300 was meaningless, but small behaviors repeated long enough become entire futures. That realization stayed heavy in his mind for days, because most people think wealth is built through dramatic moments, large risks, huge breakthroughs, perfect timing. But most financial futures are actually shaped quietly, in ordinary months, ordinary decisions, ordinary restraint. The frightening part is how invisible the consequences look early on. A few $100s spent emotionally feels harmless today, but repeated for decades, it silently changes the direction of an entire life. Ethan finally understood something most people learn too late. Freedom grows slowly, then suddenly feels obvious in retrospect. And time rewards behavior more than intelligence. The people who win financially are often not the most gifted. They simply continue long enough for the growth to become visible. That's the part nobody talks about. The years where nothing exciting seems to happen. But beneath the surface, the roots are already growing. And most people walk away long before the tree finally appears.